Nice. We're live. Sick. We're just talking backstage. Two big developments. One, we're streaming to LinkedIn for the first time, which is awesome. I'm getting some feedback.
Backstage. Two big developments. One, we're streaming to LinkedIn for the first time.
We're live. Okay, cool. You should be good.
Are you guys hearing that feedback?
No.
It's fixed now, I think.
Okay, nice. Yeah, streaming to LinkedIn, which is fun. Who knows what that even means or what happens from that, but we'll see. And then also Cheryl's becoming an ice skating influencer. So if Cheryl, you want to pull that up while we're waiting.
Oh my God.
Give people a couple minutes to tune in. Started off on
my big break, you guys.
You got your big break this morning.
I really just want to become friends with Gigi Hadid, so this is like a big day for me. But yeah, Gigi Hadid reposted me on her story today. Feeling not ready for the fame that comes with this. But,
so what happens when you get reposted by someone with, like, I don't know, how many millions of followers does she have? Like,
she has 80 million followers, but the thing is that she reposted this with tagging to her brand's account instead of me, so it's not really linking back to me. So we got to go back in and re-scheme.
Are you getting any, like, I don't know, followers or like weird?
Yeah, I'm getting like people that definitely have like ice skating fetishes. In the DMs, as expected. But other than that, it's been really nice. Everyone's just like, oh, nice. But yeah, this is my second time skating in 8 years, so I was surprised to see that I can still skate, which is fun.
Wow.
It's like riding a bike.
Yeah, it really is. But it was also so cool and magical to like skate alone on this rink in Central Park.
It's sick. There's usually like 4,000 people on that rink, right?
Yeah, well, the first time I went, it was just so crowded that I almost knocked out like 17 kids in the face. Like this mom was screaming at me for going too fast. Like it's just really chaotic. So
that's pretty much my public skating experience as well. Just like weaving in and out of children, hit a couple, say sorry, realize it's probably time for you to get off the ice. And...
It's probably time to go.
How seriously did you used to skate?
Pretty seriously. I skated for like 14 years, every day for 8 hours. I went to nationals a few times. But yeah.
Legit. All right, sick. Let's jump into it. We got a packed schedule today. Cheryl, do you want to play us in, and then we'll introduce this beautiful gentleman with me, and we'll get things going. What is up? Welcome to the 10th episode of Internet Explorers. Exciting, 10 episodes. It's crazy how, I don't know, it feels like we've been doing it for a long time, but also like weeks. When you do one a week, like the numbers don't go up that quickly. Like 10 is like months of time, which I don't know, but 10 doesn't seem like a big number. Anyways, welcome to Internet Explorers. We have Cheryl behind the screen once again. Cheryl, what up?
Hello.
And we have Sam from Finney with us. Sam, how are we doing today?
I'm good, thanks.
Nice. So yeah, excited for this episode. So yeah, I guess, first of all, if you're tuning in to this from, Twitter, YouTube, or now LinkedIn, we're going big on LinkedIn. Recommend popping over to live.seedclub.xyz and, watching from there if you plan on tuning into the full episode. It has our live chat, inline minting, collector leaderboard, and, it's just a way cozier and cooler place to hang out than certainly LinkedIn, but Twitter and YouTube as well. And if you're on live.seedclub.xyz, we love you. Drop a GM in the chat. Let's get that pumping. And then, last reminder before we get things off, all of these are collectible on pods. I think we've had hundreds of collectors of episodes so far, and, planning on figuring out some fun stuff to do with that. So, if you're into this, if you like what we're doing, go scoop one up. All right, cool. Yeah, let's get into it. So I'll turn it over to Sam in a sec, but I think first just wanted to kind of set some context. So Jess is out this week, and just kind of think about what we wanted to do with this show with him being out, guests we wanted to bring on, and figured it would just be cool to bring on some of our portfolio founders to just kind of reflect on 2023 and look forward to 2024 through the the unique lens of of each of their projects. They're all the 5 that we'll be talking to today are all building in very different areas, have very different kind of perspectives on why crypto is interesting and why it's a fun tool set. So excited to get into that. But yeah, I guess ultimately what really excites us at Seed Club about crypto is its potential as this foundation for building a dramatically more open and interesting internet, and ultimately world as a result. And I think our current one's getting increasingly sterile as the handful of powerful organizations that control it just continue having their way. But it really feels like we're reaching kind of a cultural and technological tipping point. And on the cultural side, people are spending more and more time online, and I think just feeling less and less satisfied. There's just growing distrust in our self-serving institutions. We're all just desperate for the increased agency and optionality and where we spend time, invest our money, connect with others. And then just alongside this, I think we've just over the last few years just seen an insane improvement in crypto infrastructure and tooling that has made it finally cheap and easy to build consumer crypto applications, which is amazing. So I think we're going to see an explosion in experimentation from this as it just gets increasingly attractive to build here for new waves of entrepreneurs. So I think all that to say, I think the next few years are going to be massively formative for the industry. I think we're at the start of really a golden age of startup building in crypto, and I think these 5 projects are just great representations of that. So excited to jump in, starting with Sam from Finny. Sam, yeah, I guess I think the place to start is just how you're describing Finny today. I think Finny's one of those fun ones where it's kind of this extensive world of many things. Obviously at the core and the foundation are these cute characters that you see on the screen, but you guys have digital, physical art. You've built utility products. You're building social products, and there's kind of so many ways these characters in the world you're building are manifesting. So I'm curious, just as a starting point, how are you describing Finny today?
Yeah, it's a great question and a very difficult question to answer, and one that I'm often still asked by family and friends, as well as people in the space, people outside of the space. But I mean, for those who aren't familiar with Finny at all, it started life as an art project by an artist, British artist, who's now my co-founder, called Ed. And it took the form of these cute characters that represented different financial markets. So when the financial market was performing well, the character was happy, it danced around and so on. And when the financial market was performing poorly, then the character itself was sick, sad, confused, lonely. And over the past 2 years, we have sort of turned what was a purely artistic enterprise into more of a commercial enterprise. That started with an NFT collection, like a 10K kind of PFP style drop that we did in 2022. And since then, as you say, we've gone off and done a huge amount of things with the IP. So, but I think that if I had to sort of put it in a sentence, for us, Finny is essentially a character universe that consists of these very cute digital creatures who embody our emotional ties with the world around us. So, often those things that they're embodying are sort of powerful forces or systems that are very significant in the world, like markets, but that are quite difficult to kind of actually that are quite intangible, that are quite immaterial, and Finny sort of gives them a body. But we're now actually looking to the world of not just markets, but completely separately, interpersonal relationships, the relationships between people, and beginning to explore how we can use this character universe to create a really fun social product.
Yeah, very sick. So you started last year, and I think your whole collection they're kind of these crypto asset price, or I guess just general asset price characters, or they respond to asset prices, and you built your widget, which is I think the funnest way to just keep up to date with prices. I love it. So how did you kind of go from that and then decide it was time to kind of jump into the kind of more social interpersonal side?
I mean, it's been an interesting past year for us. It's been a year of a lot of pivots, a lot of spinning in circles, a lot of, I think, trying to answer this fundamental question of whether we wanted Finny to be first and foremost like an IP business, which was about creating stories, like telling stories, about putting out creative content, and then spinning products and utility out of that universe, or whether we were more of a like product centric business where we were trying to find one really compelling sort of application for the IP, and then letting the narrative and storytelling sort of happen organically through people's relationship with that product. So on the screen, you've seen like here, for example, there's a video of the app that we created for holders of the Finny NFTs, where they can use their Finnies as a way to like keep track of their investments, crypto investments on their phone as widgets and so on. And that was like an initial foray into more of that product centric approach. Then we spent a lot of the year sort of actually thinking, and maybe we don't want to pigeonhole ourselves in that. Maybe we want to do something that's more expansive. And we've ended up sort of doing both. So social just became, we just had this sort of epiphany, I suppose, at a certain point where we had this idea for a really fun way that we could like create a Finny social app. And at the same time, we had agreed to be in this big exhibition that's happening in a couple of weeks. And so we started making work for the exhibition, like a film, a sculpture, and we started developing the app at the same time. And the two sort of like reflect one another. They're all kind of part of the same project.
Yeah, I was reading through your announcement of participating in this exhibit, which sounds sick. But I think this text here kind of conveys I think like the breadth of what you guys are building. It's like you're, participating in this art exhibit about like the future of Qt. You've created this like 15-minute film that like obviously Finnies are starring in. As a part of the exhibit, people are downloading this like, kind of social interpersonal product.
Yeah.
Like, it feels very much like a, something that like could come out of like Silicon Valley or something, right? Like it's, it's like this, it's like a dating app almost, right? It could be, and then like alongside that, I think you're talking about like merch and plushies, and I think just again like the like having just like these characters that people are strong, like emotionally resonating with at the core, and then just like kind of inserting those into all these, I don't know, cool places is a fun strategy.
100%. I mean, it's a bit crazy, and we don't have it's really just two of us full time, and then we have some great freelancers on the creative side, but it is a lot. And I think that it's getting to the point where like this exhibition is going to be great, and then we need to focus a bit. But I really enjoy the fact that every day I have like 8 completely separate things to do that could be part of like 8 completely separate businesses. But the fact that they are holistic, and we actually have a new webpage coming soon that hopefully will like tie all of this together and make sense of it. Because I think possibly for some people currently from the outside, it's like, wait, there's this and that, and there's art, and there's tech, and there's NFTs, and there's whatever. So, but for us, we see it all as part of the same universe, and we're trying to convey that with this new web build.
Yeah, nice. And then and maybe last question before I'm gonna have to kick you off and bring Natasha up. What does 2024 look like? Do you think, like if there's like a focus or like kind of core thing you guys are aiming at or hoping to accomplish over the next year? Like what is that?
I guess I'd answer that by like describing briefly the app itself. So we are developing and have like a small test group for this app called Oom by Finny, OOM. And the principle is essentially, instead of having these characters that represent markets, as I said, they're characters that represent relationships, and you and another user, it's a chat app. And in each chat, you and another user essentially grow and evolve this character by conversing with one another and by playing chat-based games with one another. And as you get to know one another better, your character like changes and levels up and stuff. And that character is like a representation of how close you're becoming or how much you're chatting to one another. It also reacts to things that are happening in the chat and stuff like that. So that product, which is still, as I say, at a very early stage, but is beginning to feel a bit more filled out, that's going to be the principal focus. And we have no shortage of ideas. So it's really going to be trying to, get together the team and the resources to make that happen as best as possible.
Sick. That's awesome. Yeah, I've had fun playing with it so far. I've been using it with Jess, which is probably like the wrong type of interpersonal relationship. But hey, it's fun. It's been fun nonetheless. I'm excited to try it with someone someone else. Okay, sick. Yeah, and is that available for people to play with yet, or when's that happening?
If they want to play, they can like just DM the Finny account, but there'll be a public link in the next week or two.
Love it. Sick. Sam, thanks so much for coming on, man. Have a good Friday evening in London. So yeah, hopefully you can get away from the computer and avoid the wetness and grayness and go have some fun somewhere.
Thank you. Have a great rest of the show. Great weekend.
See you, man. Take care. All right, Natasha, how we doing? Oh, I can't hear you.
Hi.
There we go. We're good. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for coming on. Excited to talk Boys Club.
This is fun. First time, long time listener, first time caller.
Yeah, sick. Love to hear that. That's I think maybe my first time being on like the receiving end of that statement. I've said it many times, so that's fun to hear.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's a no-brainer to bring Boys Club onto the show. So I think, maybe just like set the context. I think you guys have built, one of the most impressive brands, or cults maybe in crypto. Like truly, I think it's hard to find another brand that people identify so strongly with that don't have like a pumping token or like economic incentives as like a core community bonding mechanism. Like you've just done it. You've done it the old-fashioned way, right? Of like having incredible people at the core, creating world-class propaganda through your media, merch, collectibles, hosting. I think just like perpetually like wild events. It's funny, conferences end and all I hear is like the Boys Club event was awesome, or some random thing you do. Nice. Cheryl, we're on like our Monday meeting and she's just raving about something you guys did over the weekend in New York. So I think that, and then just like, connecting all of that back to, a very kind of important and powerful mission of just bringing new voices to a new internet. So yeah, excited to hear the latest. I think
thanks for juicing me up right at the start here.
Of course, that's what we're here for. That's what you're here for. I mean, honestly, like it's great because you guys just been running, like we haven't, been too close to the inside, but it feels like you really hit your stride in 2023. Does it feel like that for you as well?
In some ways, yeah. I mean, I think 2023 was big for us and that feels nice in a really shit market. So excited for a new market and what that means for Boys Club. But yeah, I think for us in 2023, like we went from nobody being full-time to 3 full-time. I'm loving this situation. It's like a little, I feel exposed.
Yeah, Cheryl's behind there somewhere.
I know. I'm like, oh God, what is she going to pull up next? So yeah, we went from nobody being full-time to 3 people being full-time. And that was a huge shift for us and just like our ability to ship. And I think for Dina and I, Dina's the other co-founder of Boys Club, like we were sort of like, is it going to make that much of a difference? Like we're killing ourselves anyway, doing this full-time with another full-time job. And then just to see sort of just the cadence that you can pick up when you're on something, when you're thinking about one thing all the time. And I think we did 17 events, which is just Delulu, and we'll not do that again. It was great. And we had like such a blast. And yeah, it was so fun. But I think for us, like just moving into 2024, where the strategy around events is like getting more crystallized and just have a clearer sense of like what events do for Boys Club and for the community and for our partners. And that allows us to be smarter about the ways that we show up and things like that. And I think where we've like hit our stride the most is really thinking about like the brand's evolution. I think the gift of a bear market is like, you really have to face like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, what is it that you're bringing to the world? And like, why does it matter? And what is the work that feels important? And what's the noise? And so I think the evolution of the brand from like, okay, crypto is our stack and it's what we love and it's what we're birthed from. And it's the industry that we're all super juiced on and think is the future. But like, there's also all these other things that we're super, super into and our community is really into, and how does sort of the person and persona that's been attracted to Boys Club inform how we show up in the world? And I think for us, the clearest vision of that has really been like, we're going to play the part of like bridge building between all of the things that we love and care about and this industry and what's possible and really what we think is possible around the new consumer internet, and bringing those two sort of worlds together. And that gives us a lot more space to play in, which is really fun. So that's a little 2023 awesome recap.
So we're not going to see 35 Boys Club events this year?
I do not think so. From your lips to God's ears, that will not happen.
Nice. So how are you? Because I think, we struggle with this a lot too. It's just like not having the language to describe like what's in our head for what Seed Club is or what we want it to become. So how do you? I imagine it's probably similar for you guys. Like we're doing all these things, but how do we succinctly describe that and tell that to someone is very hard. So do you? Yeah. How do you do that right now? Like
Yeah, we've played a lot around with this so much, and it's really difficult. I think like world building is true in concept for both Seed Club and Boys Club, but that's really impossible to explain to somebody who's like fresh to what you're doing. Where we've sort of landed, and I think feels right to us, is a social collective for the chronically online, and then basically like podcasts, newsletters, parties for the chronically online is like how I've talked about it with people. And I think it makes the crypto stuff more approachable. It makes the AI stuff less cringe. And it's also really true of Boys Club. Like that's sort of the thing that's holding us all together is spending too much time on the internet. So that's what we've gotten to. I think when we're deeper into it, how our mission is really bringing new voices to the new internet. And I think like learning for us about how do we talk about it fresh to people, how do we talk about our mission, like being clear about how all those things sort of evolve.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's so much easier to just build a brand, build a thing when it's just like a representation of who you are, right? Like I feel like we just see you and Dina and everyone else that's a part of Boys Club just like clearly represented in the brand, and you're just speaking your truth, right?
My truth.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So what you said you did 17 that, felt too much or too chaotic. So what is you hinted at a new event strategy. What does that look like?
And for the record, obsessed with every single one of those events, like had so much fun.
No doubt.
Not any shade on any of the events. It was great. I think for us, we're just like, we want to do larger, more marquee events. And we're going to hopefully talk about a little bit about that today, but like really putting our energy towards, maybe it's like 6 to 10 events, but they are really doing the work that we talked about, where it's like, okay, there's these things that we're interested in. There's a like persona of a person who feels a sense of belonging and has found their people in Boys Club. And how does like that person and the things that they care about and industries that they're into, how do we do the work of taking those things and like connecting them to the emerging technology that we find most compelling or interesting, or the industries that we want to see really influenced by the type of person who has been attracted to Boys Club. So for us, I think it's just getting like, okay, we're going to put our energy towards maybe a fewer events, but do them up right and do them in a bigger way and be like thoughtful about how they show up. So that's a big change, I would say, in the way that we're approaching events. But don't worry, there will be many bangers. There will be
parties
many
will still be there.
The parties will still be there. Exactly.
Nice. Yeah, I feel like it was when was it? Maybe like near the end of last year in Austin, you guys held like an event, maybe with Kraken and F1, and had like an F1 driver there. It's like, oh shit, like this is kind of like a new, in my mind, it kind of reformed how I saw Boys Club. So I think that was awesome.
Oh, so great. That's great to hear. Yeah. We're huge F1 fans. So I was a big Alex Albon. I was like, I was fangirling and like, I was starstruck. I was like, hi. They were like, do you want to take a picture? I was like, no, I feel I cannot.
So I love that. So what is brand new? Do you want to give that a little show?
Yes. So brand new is a Boys Club conference. It's a one-day summit that we're doing this year. And the purpose of brand new is really to talk about the new internet, consumer crypto, digital culture. And the idea, it's March 12th in Austin at the Austin proper, so alongside South by Southwest. And the sort of impetus of brand new and where it came from was this idea of like, okay, Dina and I and many Boys Club people have been to basically every crypto conference that has ever existed. And they're great and they're amazing for like builders and for networking and all this great stuff. But like, there's a huge part of the conversation that always feels missing, where like just real consumer applications for this technology is like the last thing on the agenda, like the thing that people sort of like last day, last session, let's talk about it. And for us, like this stuff is only as interesting as it applies to the real world and the things that I do every single day, and art and fashion and music and sports and all this sort of stuff. So the real impetus was to do a day where we're really talking about consumer crypto. And it's like, it's really limited, 200 people, intentionally so, wanting it to feel intimate and feel like really valuable for people to connect and to meet interesting people who are really building at the edges of what's possible. So the idea is like half the room being the best like builders, thinkers, creators that are building in Web3 and emerging technology. And then the other half of the room being like pretty trad marketers and agency folk and brands that are quote unquote Web2, who are like curious and interested and want to understand, okay, what are the people doing in this space that are like new, novel ways to build brand loyalty or interesting consumer or commerce use cases. So that's really like the heart behind it. We're so excited about it and like have incredible partners who have come alongside of us. Seed Club, of course, being one of them, to have this day and to bring the people in the room and to really do the work that I was talking about. Like, okay, the vision for Boys Club in 2024 is to be that bridge, and like this is a very, very tangible way to do that. So we're stoked. Tickets are now live. So there are, if you're a member or a Zaddy holder, you can go directly here and buy a ticket. If you are not a member, you can apply and we will send you a ticket very soon after your application gets reviewed. So that's what's up. We're super excited.
Nice. Yeah, it's gonna be sick. We see the world in a very similar way, which is why we're joining you on this brand new adventure. I think Jess is gonna curate a talk or something.
Yeah, Jess will be there.
Me and Cheryl will be there. Yeah, I'm sure the roster of people who are gonna attend are gonna be.
Yes, next week we're gonna be releasing like speaker lists and stuff like that. So keep an eye out, watch the space, subscribe to the newsletter, and all that information. Exactly, click all the buttons. We're super excited. I think it will be a great day. And for us, like the reason why we're doing it in March and along South by Southwest is really like, it's a lot harder to do it there. Like it's a lot more of an uphill battle for people who are, it'd be a lot easier to do it at like an ECC or an East Denver or something where it's like, that's your home crowd, but really wanting to like bridge that gap for people. And I think something that's very distinct about Boys Club is like, we are tech optimists and we're excited about the future. We're excited about all this technology, and to bring sort of like a new perspective and a new voice to sort of this mainstream concept of what crypto, the brand that crypto has gotten over the past few years, feels really important.
Totally. Yeah. I feel doing it alongside South by Southwest, I feel is a perfect fit.
Great.
Cool. Yeah. One last question before I let you go. I'm curious how you like, I'm trying to say this in like the least lame language possible. Like in my head, it's like, what is your North Star? Like, how do you measure success? But really, I just want to know, like, what is like the thing? So looking forward to 2024, like, what is the thing that you're looking at to like know if you like really got it right? Like, is it number of members? Is it kind of some sort of like community engagement thing?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think it's interesting because there's like two parts of the world of Boys Club. There's like the community, Discord, like IRL and URL sort of experience of being a member of Boys Club, which is the heartbeat of Boys Club. And it feels super important for people to have a sense of being connected to one another and like really improve their world in some way, whether that's like getting a new job or finding a new friend or like subleasing your apartment or whatever it is, and feeling like a sense of friendship and belonging in that. And that's like so core to Boys Club. So that feels obviously like really important to nurture and make sure people are still feeling a value in being a part of the community. And then I think for like the media business, we have a lot of things that we're really excited about doing. We have a lot of things that we're thinking about. I think for us, like the North Star or like some projects that we're excited about is like we're thinking a lot about like physical products and apparel, and there's been some fit around that, and that feels like a real opportunity and something that like we're really excited about and feels really fun to think about is like what would Boys Club as a more mainstream streetwear brand that has like Web3 crypto like tooling underneath it, what does that look like in the world? And then also thinking about sort of like creator network and who are people that we love that are in our community that have a very distinct voice, that talk about a vertical in a way that is compelling and optimistic and curious and thoughtful. And how do we platform those people and give them space to do the thing that they want to do and give them some distribution for really like their perspective and voice in it. So that feels really exciting as well. So I think for us, the North Star is like, we obviously want to like, it's a media business. So grow our channels, grow the things that we're working on, like the podcast and the newsletter and events and stuff like that. But I think it's like, how are we moving the needles across the board in these other areas that we've been excited about, but sort of have had to sit on the back burner until we get some foundational stuff locked in. And so it's exciting. I'm really like 2024, I'm like, best is yet to come. There's so much ahead of us. And I'm hopeful about what it means for us, but also like the industry as a whole.
Love it. It's up only. As
up
they say,
only.
Right? Sick. Natasha, thanks so much for joining.
Thank you so much.
And bring Jackie up, but I'll see you on the internet, and I'll see you not on the internet in a couple months.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me.
Take care.
Bye.
Jackie.
Hi, GM, sir.
How we doing?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Great to see you. Nice brick background.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Okay, cool. So fun. Excited to catch up. It's been a little bit. So you guys, you applied to our accelerator last year. I couldn't remember if like when you applied, you were talking about your product as a browser companion, but it very much kind of like formulated into that throughout our work together. And basically it was a browser companion that added like a social layer to blockchain transactions at the time, right? And I think after installing the extension, you'd have a little bunny that would live on your screen, interact with your transactions, interact with your friends, and just kind of like act as this like portal to Ethereum. But I think like what's really interesting about it is you iterated on it furiously alongside this kind of core alpha group of users throughout the cohort, built it into something really fun and useful. But as it happens, kind of like the insights from building this, the insights from that group, and the emerging consumer crypto scene and experiments that were happening more broadly, I think kind of revealed an adjacent opportunity that you guys got really obsessed with and have been focusing on since. So I don't even know what you're ready to talk about and not, but just to kind of set the scene there. So maybe I'll throw it over to you to just kind of like how do you talk about Sofamon today? Like what is Sofamon?
Okay. Yeah, I would say just like you mentioned, our first product is like a browser companion, which can like do all kinds of like animation based on your on-chain transaction. That's a really fun project. We got lots of good feedbacks from some like crypto native people. And also it brings lots of fun and smiles to the crypto space, I believe. And around like 3 to 4 months ago, we released a new feature, which is like when you send emojis to your friend, when you send a transaction to your friend, you can actually see your friends Sofamon appear in your screen and send you emoji, right? That feature is actually leave a very good impression to all of our users. And one of our users is a live streamer, and he always put his Sofamon on his screen to receive the tips from his audience by receiving like a crypto. And this is like our first product. So basically from that moment, we realized, people are willing to spend a tons of money into sending emojis. Then we started our like latest project. It's still in stealth. And how do I describe this? I would say it's more like a culture container. So instead of being culture or art itself, we want to be the container of this. If you can think about, have you heard about like beer bricks? A physical toy
Yes. Yeah.
They did lots of like collaboration with like many different like luxury brands, for example, Chanel, Louis Vuitton, those are all kinds of like fashion brands. And like every fashion guy will have one in their like room as like a accessory, right? So this is our position right now. And what I can disclose is that it's about social. It's definitely about finance, and it's also about fashion. Yeah, that's what I can disclose right now. And we are going to release more information on Twitter starting from next week. And and I think in 2023, last year, we grew up a lot. And probably like my biggest reflection about building consumer facing crypto product is that right now we have very strong thesis of that it's like playing money emotionally. I like said that like many times. So I don't know if you still remember, like in early of like last year, everyone was talking about like VK, Layer 2, all those like infrastructures. To be honest, before Friendtech, nobody was talking about like consumer facing products. And the on-chain activity is basically dead. No one is doing on-chain stuff. And I think I'm very lucky to go to the FWB from your like invitation. And before I went there, I thought it would be a very like a hippie, like a cultural, like a festival. And after I went there, what I observed is that there are parties, that's good vibes, good culture, definitely. But almost everyone is talking about business. And after I see that, I turned my head to my like Peter, my co-founder, and said, "You see, crypto is still about business. It's still about finance." So I would say like money is about crypto. It's a better form of money. It's a digital money. What we believe in. That's the future. Is so cool to build the like internet money. The concept. I love this. And for consumer-facing product, I think the most important thing or the key is to build like the emotional connection between the coin with your product or like the product with your user, or between the coin with your user or the product with your user. So it's very important to build that. I can give like a few examples. Probably like the first example is the Doge coins, all those kind of like meme coins. People who like send those like a dog with head, the JPEG. They love the picture, so they love the coin. They want to collect that instead of selling that. And for NFT, same like those like a 10K PIP NFTs. People think that's part of their identity, so that they don't want to sell that. Friend tag the same. I still remember like a while ago, I saw like Jess Key, and Jess literally texted me in our TG group, said, "Why did you sell my key?" But I mean, come on, technically it's just like it's just a coin. There's no difference between like the Friendtex key and also ERC20 or like NFT. A very little difference. But why do people want to? Why do people get mad at me if I just sold their keys? So build the emotional connection. I would say it's very important. Yeah.
Nice. I love all that. I like you describing your upcoming product as a cultural container at the intersection of culture, finance, fashion. I think that describes it well without saying anything. When do you have a timeline on when people are going to be able to play with the upcoming product, or at least get a better sense of specifically what it is? Because I don't know. I'm stoked for it to come out. It's cool as hell. I think you guys are just like incredible builders. I think have just been building so closely alongside feedback and usage that like I think this is it's going to land and be really interesting, and also are just like deep students of like the experiments that have worked well both like within crypto but also kind of in the broader cultural landscape. So I think you're tying it all together in a really interesting way, so I'm excited for people to play with it.
Yeah, it will be alive on February with a new layer 2. Yeah, that's what I can say. And yeah, just stay tuned with our Twitter, we are going to release more information, our new branding, our new website on Twitter starting from next week. Yeah.
Nice. Love it. Okay, cool. Any last words before I kick you off?
Right now, no. I just think like 2024 this year is going to be a wild year. I'm so excited about this year and what we are going to bring to crypto space. Yeah.
Nice. Love it. So yeah, follow Sofamon on Twitter. Yeah, I think you said in the next few weeks you'll be sharing more about what's upcoming, and then be ready to click some buttons early February.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Love it.
Thanks. Yeah.
Thanks, Jackie. Take care, man.
Yeah. Take care.
All right, let's get this cowboy up here.
Hello, GM.
John, I loved looking down and seeing the cowboy hat waiting for me.
You know, I just got back out here to Neighborhood Zero and opened up my closet and saw my collection of cowboy hats. And I was like, man, I've missed these guys. It's time to throw one of them on.
They're not just like, are they just like hanging above your door? Like the second you step in the door, it just falls onto your head and you go into full cowboy mode?
Yeah, I've become a real hats maxi in the past year or two. And man, I just love throwing a cowboy hat on when I'm back out here in Texas.
I mean, they are practical, right? Like
they're extremely practical. That's what people forget. Like it's actually just very convenient to have full sun protection.
I love it. And yeah, how's the babe? I got to ask before.
Oh yeah, doing great.
Nice.
Yeah, I've got an 8-week-old son, James, and he had a bit of a rough transition to being here, his first night in a new place. So I'm running on fumes. So if I sound a little goofy, it's just the lack of sleep. But he's doing great. He's starting to smile this
Love
week.
it.
It's been a huge thing.
Sick. Any baby cowboy hats yet?
No, we do have some nice sun hats for him, some really solid Texas sun hats, but they don't make baby, or if they do make baby cowboy hats, I gotta find them.
They must.
They must.
They make baby versions of everything that
Totally.
the stuff parents will spend money on. Okay, sick. Yeah, excited to catch up on the latest of Cabin. So I was kind of thinking back. It's, I don't know, one of the more fun, I think, Genesis stories, right? So it was like back in, it was 2021, right?
May of 21, that's right.
May of 21. So you guys, like network states back then weren't a thing at all, or network cities, whatever. The whole like this meme just was not a meme.
No. Yeah.
So Cabin,
So I basically the version. So the short version of this is I was at Instacart, left the company at the end of 2020, and decided I wanted to come out here to the Texas Hill Country, outside of Austin, where I'm from, and build a cabin in the woods and write some science fiction. I ended up writing a post called Decentralized Cities in March, where I sort of was exploring this idea of like, what does it look like if a city is not all in one place? And then shortly after that, around May, this was when like the DAO cycle was really kicking off. We were a part of the Mirror Right race. We brought a group called the Creator Co-op, which I had been hanging out with online, out to the cabin as soon as it was done in May. And we did this Mirror crowdfund to basically create a creator residency program. And the deal was people, donated to this crowdfund. They got back a governance token, which they could use to vote on which creators got to come out for the residencies. And then things just blew up from there. And next thing, we knew we were actually building this network city that we've been talking about.
Yeah, I love that so much, because you're just like, oh, I've had this, intense kind of, tech career. I'm going to go chill, going to get out in the country. And then the second something has like a hint of working or like being something, you're just builder brain couldn't not run after it.
Totally. Yeah. It was definitely a situation where I was intending to take more time off than I did.
Yeah. But yeah, I think like, that experiment you guys were running, and also just had like a lot of interest and demand on the, of course, creator side, but also the just like participant, crowdfunder, I just want to be close to this thing side. And then it was cool seeing, you kind of running this experiment, but then also in parallel, like the, DAOs just emerging as this like powerful new internet native organization framework. And those just like fitting together so well in your mind. And then kind of, that instigating the formulation of Cabin. So I'm kind of curious. So from, started off as creator residencies, you're now, and correct me if I'm wrong, describing Cabin as a network city. Is that still still kind of the thing.
That's right. Yeah. So yeah, about a year after, that decentralized city post, Balaji published his book, The Network State. That kind of blew up and started a lot of adjacent conversations. Yeah, we've just been, we've been taking a slightly different approach, which is a very bottom-up, community-centric version of how do we basically start to create this network of people and places all over the world, citizens and cabins in the woods and places where people in our community can go hang out anywhere. We just had actually one of our first creator residents, a guy named Matt Condon, wonderful human, very early NFT guy who does some cool generative art stuff himself. He was one of our first residents, and he's on a big cross country road trip in his like Japanese like Jeep thing that he has been restoring, and he just got in late last night and pulled up to the cabins, and it's just like that's what it's all about. It's like he's back at home, hanging out here, and we got coffee he made some fancy coffee this morning, and we just like hung out and caught up on life, and that's what like gets me really excited is it does feel like living in a city. Like I'm out in the middle of nowhere right now, and I've just got like my it's like I am in Brooklyn and my friend from next door just came over.
Yeah, it's so sick. And I feel like I don't know, like the number, I was scrolling through your Twitter feed, I guess, just before this, just to kind of catch up. And I feel like the number of kind of parallel experiments you're running now that kind of each seem to be interesting or like having some sort of maybe like fit within your city in and of themselves. Like, could you talk about like supper clubs? I think you also have citizenship that's interesting. You're kind of standing up housing at conferences. Like you're doing a bunch of these kind of like disparate pieces that are all kind of like forming this
That's right.
city.
Yeah. So yeah, I think the big insight. So we launched the Network City, this past year in 2023, with our original 22 properties and about 300 citizens, and that included the 101 original crowdfunders who were our first citizens. And what we've now realized is that exactly what you said. We want to do a bunch of things that all tie back to citizenship. We want to basically create all of these different experiences, ways of engaging with us, both online and offline, that at the end of the day, if you are a cabin citizen, you are just going to get to drop into supper clubs like this one you see pictured here, which happened a couple of weeks ago in Puerto Rico. You're going to get to drop into conference events. We rented out a mansion for ETH Denver. People are going to be staying at. We'll be hosting side events. Then we've got another mountain retreat house in Breckenridge right after that. We're going to be hosting something out here for the eclipse in April. And we're also building these local chapters all over the world so that in the past couple months we've had over 20 of these supper clubs like the one you just saw pictured, but in random places all over, places that we didn't even know we had active communities until Bangalore and Sofia, Bulgaria, and Dubai. We've got all these cabin people showing up in person. And if you're a cabin citizen, you can participate online. You can participate locally wherever you live. And you can also participate anywhere across the world as part of the network.
Yeah, it's been so cool just seeing the like network really like pull this out of cabin almost. Like I feel like there are times where you're like, we just want to like develop this property. Let's just stay here. This is cool. And then clearly there's just like so much global demand to be a part of a network city and be close to this experiment. And, people clearly resonate with the, the meme you guys are sitting on. So yeah, it's sick to see that evolution. So then looking forward to 2024, like what's kind of the big focus? What do you hope to see?
Yeah. When I tell this story like this, it sounds like this very linear path, but of course it was not. There were lots
I've seen the inside.
All sorts of experiments we've run, and we actually try to build all that in public. If you go to forum.cabin.city, you can see basically where we open up, the books on everything. We're a DAO, and all of our strategy is transparent. There's conversations happening about everything we are working on, where all the money goes, et cetera. And you'll be able to see in there that, over the past year, after we launched the Network City, we really were focused on co-living and how to, basically get people out to these rural properties for long-term co-living. And what we discovered is that while that's still an important part of what we're building towards long-term, this long-term vision of, internet friends building a network of modern villages for intergenerational living, for a lot of people, that's a big step. No one wants to go straight from I got on your website to I'm going to move to the middle of nowhere with a bunch of strangers from the internet. And so we've been building out these other experiences like the supper clubs, like these conference engagements, houses, cabin weeks, which are week-long co-living experiences, in order to basically give people a taste of what this type of lifestyle is like, and help bring the cabin experience closer to where people are already living. And so 2024 is really just about leaning into that. Like you said, the network, the community has pulled the product out of us. And what that product looks like is basically citizenship, which is this bundle of experiences and goods, merchandise, what like all of these things that allow you to be a part of this community and to be a part of this future that we're building towards.
Yeah, I love it so much. And selfishly, I'm a huge fan of this direction, because I very much fit in that, like, love cabin, super interested in being close to this network state experiment and continue seeing it evolve. But, live in Montreal and, going to a dinner a few times a month or every couple of months is probably the right way for me to experience this right now. So yeah, sick to see. Maybe last question before I let you go is just kind of a general check-in on the, like, state of network states. Like, I think, it's been cool just seeing how much the movement's exploded, I guess, in the last year. Like, there are conferences now. There's, of course, like Balaji's book, which is a big part of this. There are dedicated funds, many startups building the category. Like, I think even at Seed Club Ventures, like, we see tons of network state related deals coming through. So, like, what's going on?
Yeah, it's a funny position to be in, because, I think it's sort of like what you hope for when you start building a startup, that, like, you don't really know how to explain this thing, and you have this crazy idea and no one really gets it. And then, all of a sudden it's like, wow, there's like this emerging ecosystem around this thing, and other people are starting to catch on, and other projects are starting to build in it. And so it's really exciting. We feel very grateful to be able to be a leader in that space, and to really be at the forefront of this movement. And I think a lot of what this stuff comes down to is being bottom up and community first and Lindy. And I think one of our big advantages as a brand is just that we've been around, for years now, and we have an established community, we have an established brand, we have citizens. And I think that's just going to be such a big advantage for us as this ecosystem starts to blow up. And that, and we have such a like clean origin story. We're like the Bitcoin of network states, in that, like, we had this perfectly, like, fair launch thing that anyone could join into, and we've just been able to grow very organically from there. So that's all cool. It was especially exciting to see how that played out in the context of the Network State Conference that just happened, 1,200 people in Amsterdam. And, it sort of went from like, what's a network city? What's a network state? To like, oh, wow, here we are, leading as the kind of kickoff speaker of this big conference. In terms of hot takes, I'll leave you with one, which is, there's kind of two parts of this movement that seem to be coming out. One is network states, and the other one is new cities. The network states part is like, hey, we're gonna have this decentralized physical spaces that eventually achieve sovereignty. And the cities part is like, we're going to have one new spot where we move everybody and sort of build on top of existing state structures. I think both of those are wrong. And this is why we are building a network city. And what that means is that I think we take the best of both of those things. We are doing a network, it's all over the world, but we're also not trying to build some sort of like new sovereign state. We're building almost like an L2 on top of existing states. And that is the meta that I don't think everybody has really caught on to yet, but feels to me like the obvious path forward for this ecosystem.
I love that. Sick. So is the thing for people to do to apply for citizenship if they're interested in cabin, want to be close to this?
Yeah, for sure. Head to cabin.city. We've got this nice area at the top with kind of all of the CTAs we do a whole bunch of things. The Greater Cabin universe is quite large. So you can subscribe to the newsletter. And then if you scroll down here, you'll be able to see lots of ways to get involved, some kind of lightweight things, learning more about us, attending a supper club, participating on the forum. And then you can also, earn a vouch and become a citizen, which will allow you to stay at properties across the city directory, join us for conference events and special events, and even do things like host supper clubs and get reimbursed for them in your local area. If you're interested in any of that, anybody that is cool enough to be hanging out here on Internet Explorers is cool enough to be a cabin citizen. So reach out to me and DM me on Twitter, and we'll figure out how to get you connected into the community.
Love it, John. Thanks so much, sir. Go get some rest. Appreciate you.
Yeah.
Take care, man.
Cheers.
Lucas,
what's up, dog?
How we doing, buddy?
Just living the dream. How you doing?
Yeah, we got some snow up there or what?
No, absolutely not. I'm in Austin, Texas right now. But yeah, are you missing your co-host? Is Jess just like playing golf right now, or what's he doing?
So he is. That's exactly what he's doing.
Yes.
But I don't know, man. I love that call because literally he's golfing. But I'm having a good time, man. I don't know. This is fun.
Love it. Yeah, this has been.
Maybe we don't need him here. We don't
need Jess at all.
We don't need Jess at all. Cheryl, we don't even need Peace. Cheryl's a great clicker.
Yeah. We're just getting rid of all of them. Let's streamline.
I don't know.
Me and Josh now.
We're forking Internet Explorers.
Cheryl's kind of drowning in the Gigi Hadid cloud right now, so I don't know if she's got time.
No, I'm honestly drowning in the Arweave not working cloud.
Yeah. Okay. So typically these episodes are live to mint. But we're having issues on the Arweave side of things right now. But we're hoping to get that mint up pretty soon here, hopefully right after this, or if we're lucky, maybe during this, but we'll see. I wish
Should I give it a go?
Should
I try?
I've not.
Or is it going to be a fail?
It's probably going to be a fail, unfortunately.
Sometimes it's important to share your failures with
why not?
In public. Maybe people can see the flow because it's quite easy and it's fun to use.
Nice. Yeah, this dashboard's actually going to get a pretty big facelift in the next week or so. This is like the MVP, but
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah, sick. Yeah, so let's introduce pods. I think people that have been listening to this probably know it. Hopefully, have been collecting some episodes. But I think in my mind, the future of on-chain media just a lot clearer to me today than it did honestly even 6 months ago, certainly more than a year ago. I think the emergence of protocol rewards have really handed on-chain media distributors a business model, and really just accelerated the development of that on-chain media distribution ecosystem. And from the perspective of a project, or even the perspective of a creator, it just makes it increasingly attractive to put your stuff on chain and better integrate it into all the things you do to just tap into these new distribution channels. So I feel like we're in this feedback loop of more media, more collectors, more money flowing through protocol rewards, more incentive to create distribution channels, and then people are realizing that if you can just imbue these with meaning, integrate them into what you do, get people to collect them, there's just a ton of value kind of across the ecosystem that opens up. So you guys are very much on the front line of that, bringing new supply to the on-chain media market in the form of podcast NFTs. So yeah, curious to, I guess what is pods quickly, and then what are kind of some reflections of 2023 in the context of pods?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I guess for anyone that's listening that doesn't know, pods is a platform for publishing your podcast on chain. So in the sense that Zora is taking a generalized approach, and Mirror is specializing in this vertical of writing, or Sound is focusing on music. We're focusing on the podcasting vertical, where we're specializing in the experience of publishing and collecting these podcasts on chain. I've been thinking about this stuff for about 3 years now, probably. Prior to starting pods, I was at Bankless, and I was trying to help them become a Web3 media company, not just a Web2 media company talking about Web3. And that's really, in all honesty, the state of most crypto media companies. And we can actually use this technology to rethink these business models and leverage crypto technology to rethink and reinvent and innovate on the business model and the publishing model for media as a whole. So that's kind of where we're at. In terms of reflections, it's been interesting. I started building this with the team about, 6 months ago, started really thinking and committing to this about 12 months ago. And during that time, I was just watching the NFT market absolutely plummet. And it was definitely a very humbling experience of like, okay, this isn't going to be just right out the gate. We're going to be falling out. It's going to be a slow start. And like on-chain media as a whole, even as like within the narrative of crypto, is still pretty much on like the back end or the back seat of the on-chain kind of narratives of, gaming is starting to see a lot more traction, but media is definitely starting to creep up there. Zora is doing really well, Mirror is doing really well, Pods is, starting to get off the ground, and we're onboarded over a dozen podcasts now. So we're definitely making the right moves, and it's been just really fulfilling to have this vision and start to see it come into fruition, over the past.
I love it. Yeah, totally. I think even just like it's been fun for us, doing Internet Explorers, using Pods, and just kind of like starting to like really formulate how we're thinking about it too. And it like feel, like Pods, that's just, it feels like the kind of like on-chain archive distribution platform of podcasts. And then I think like on top of that, I think we want to experiment with kind of more like ephemeral stuff that like memes or whatever that come out of these episodes, but like having this kind of the consistent place that we just distribute our shows on chain.
Yeah, and you guys have built like one of the most unique experiences that we've seen, and like I'm sad that Arweave's breaking on us right now that we can't do this live, but the experience to be able to just like watch mints come in live and like in the chat, and it's like at some points, no one's even talking, it's just a mint feed coming in, is really cool, and it's a really engaging experience. So I mean, shout out to you guys and the people building the live streaming platform behind this, but it's definitely been the most interesting thing that we've seen so far.
Love it. So looking forward to 2024. I think I saw you tweet that you want to get 100 podcasts on here, which is love it. Love that goal. What do you see as being kind of the big, maybe not like blocker to making that happen, but like what's going to be like the tipping point for
sure.
I think podcast NFTs.
Yeah, in terms of like big themes, like short term, I think right now is us optimizing for distribution. We feel really comfortable of just like working in the vertical of like crypto podcasts. Let's get every single crypto podcast on chain. One, the hosts understand this stuff pretty well, and two, the audience already has a MetaMask. You already have like a lot of the infrastructure and knowledge. Have collected an NFT before, so we're really focusing on that part of it. And really in the short term, it's like the distribution side of things of like when you publish that episode on chain, can it get on Interface, on Farcaster, on Lens? Can you mint directly there and maximizing the distribution? Daylight, another one. And can we maximize the distribution? So like Pods might not even be the host minting platform, for the majority of mints. And we're starting to see that happen more and more. So definitely in the short term, it's like, how can we syndicate these on-chain episodes everywhere and get people to mint them and wherever they're viewing, whatever on-chain media they're seeing. In terms of like the longer term, broader goal for 2024, it's kind of what you were leaning towards. And it's like abstracting all this bullshit so we can onboard any single crypto or any podcast to Pods. So this means like we can't have the creator requiring ETH on Optimism, right? That's impossible to expect that from the long tail of creators or the normies of creators. And then also, can we get collectors, can we get their audience members to actually be able to participate in this without requiring ETH, without requiring a wallet? And it's really nice now that we're at the point where a lot of the infrastructure is there with L2s are starting to mint. So you're not paying $30 in gas fees to mint this stuff and collect this stuff, but we're also seeing like embedded wallets helping abstract away the login and like sign up experience. So we're definitely at a really unique inflection point where all of this stuff is possible. And right now it just takes, time and cycles to get and build it out. So we're really excited about it. 2024 is setting up to be an awesome year. And by the end of this year, I just want to be at the point where I can go to crypto, or not even crypto conferences, but podcasting conferences. Imagine that. How many crypto people are going to podcasting conferences and shilling like their project and like trying to onboard all of these podcasts. So that's what I'm really excited for, is like second half of the year is like going to normie podcast conferences and just talking.
I love that. What's like the biggest podcast conference?
There's a couple. There's one in DC. There's one in LA in March. There's one in DC in August, and then there's a couple other smaller ones. But I've definitely been doing my research and starting to line up the conference circuit for podcasting.
That's sick.
I'm not sure how many people are doing, but I'm excited about it.
You're going to be the only one, the only crypto person there, and that's a great place to be.
And Cheryl just found out that Arweave is still broken on us. So I apologize to everyone, but we will get this mint up pretty soon here, as soon as we can. So
cool. And then maybe last question, we're running a little over, but whatever, we got a lot to talk about today. I'm curious how you see the kind of core like collector consumer behavior evolving. Like, do you see kind of like the dominant reason to collect podcast NFTs just being the like kind of like the collecting consumer behavior? Do you think it needs to be kind of do you need to build more social experiences around it to kind of become ubiquitous? Does it need to be a thing that token gates some community? Like,
right.
how are you thinking about what's going to be kind of the dominant
I think
behavior?
the biggest dominant player or like piece of it is the status game, right? Of like, okay, not even podcasting related. Imagine there's a global leaderboard of Taylor Swift fans measured by the number of NFTs that they collect, and like people would go batshit on that. All right, people are gonna be like, "Oh, I'm number one." Like the amount of just gamified experience of just having a global leaderboard that kind of indicates your fandom for this person. So like the Joe Rogan podcast, the Barstool Sports podcast, like Part of My Take is a massive one. Having that like gamified or just status game experience embedded into this, and then also it's on the other side of that is how can you reward the status game? So right now we're definitely focused on like, let's just get the media on chain. Let's build like maybe the early beginnings of this status game. But then the next step is really how can we create the tools to enable these creators to reward those people and engage with those people on a more meaningful level that makes that status game more worth it, right? And that is kind of like the next step beyond just getting the media on chain is like, how do we build the games and the status games around this stuff to make it really compelling to collect and own this stuff.
I love that. Okay, so I actually have one more question because whatever. Who's your, if there's like one person that you think is like reasonable that you guys could get in 2024, one podcaster, what's kind of like the person you're aiming for?
There's a couple. Let's just say like the people that are crypto curious that are dipping their toes in. The three that come to mind are one, Balaji. He has a podcast. I think they've only done 5 episodes, right? The other one is Tim Ferriss, right? Massive podcast, one of the biggest podcasts, but he also has done an NFT collection, maybe not the best NFT.
What was it? Dick Punch or something? Cock Punch?
Yeah,
what was it?
Cock Punch. But him putting his podcast on chain is probably more up his alley than doing a PFP project, right? Like that makes a lot more sense to him. And the third one's probably like Gary Vee or something, where he actually has like a legitimate NFT project right now that he could really integrate into this stuff pretty easily, and it just makes a lot of sense, for him or Gary Vee. So those would be like my 3 North Stars. Probably the Tim Ferriss, Gary Vee's are more on the serious side of the podcasting game. That would be like, amazing to get these people on board. And then from there, it's like, can we get these massive networks of podcasting? Whether it is like on the crypto side, Blockworks, right, is like a big one, but on the non-crypto side, it's like Barstool Sports. They have, some of the biggest podcasts in the world and a young demographic, audience. They've advertised crypto on their podcasts. Like they're somewhat there, and it's pretty interesting. Like I ran into, some TikTok influencer in Sun Valley where I live and talked to him for 5 minutes about this. And he was like, okay, yeah, I want to do that. Like, let's do it. And like people, I think, are going to be really accepting of this stuff when they realize that, like, look, you're just publishing your content on chain and it just comes natively out of the box with a monetization model and a unique novel analytics model of you can understand the individuals that make up your audience and not just a macro level data of like, oh, I got 1 million views and half of them were from the US. You can actually say that Josh.eth or Josh was my biggest fan and he's collected every single episode and he was there first and all of that stuff. So unlocking and enabling that stuff is probably the big piece of it.
Yeah, I love it. And even on the like audience collector side, like there's so much affinity and for these podcasters and like desire to get closer to them, but just nothing for people to do. So just having like a place to go play status games around a podcast that you really love and kind of identify with is just going to be a fun, I think, consumer experience for people too. So
absolutely
love it. Love all that. Sick, man. So yeah, everyone pay attention to pods. If you have a podcast, hit Lucas up. If you don't have a podcast but like podcasts, go collect some stuff.
Please do. Yeah, we're actively onboarding new podcasts like every week. So we're at that point. We're actually finally in the new year. We're at that point where we're just blitzing the whole podcasting or crypto podcasting industry. So if you have anyone that hosts a podcast or interested in hosting or interested in releasing their episodes on chain, hit me up. and we'll get
Love
them on
it.
screen in 5 minutes after we fix this Artweave thing.
in 5 minutes. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I mean that's a wrap. Internet Explorers episode 10. Lucas, thanks for hanging out. Thanks to all our other guests. Thanks for everyone listening on LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, and
shout
most
out to the
importantly
people listening on LinkedIn. Honestly,
so shout out to the LinkedIn people.
Shout
respect.
out to the 150 people on LinkedIn that helped us psyop corporate bureaucracy. What a day!
Love it.
Hope all of them are watching this. All my high school friends.
They are actually they're probably watching your skate video still, but after they're done that,
then they're gonna watch this.
Then they're gonna watch it. All right, thanks everyone.
Amazing, guys.
See you next week. Here every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 Pacific. Take care.